Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Disability Pride Month, celebrated each July to commemorate the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's hard to believe that the ADA will turn 34 years old tomorrow. I was in college when it passed in 1990. Today, an entire generation has never known life without the protections that exist because of the ADA. We have come a long way from the days when sidewalk curbs would routinely cause insurmountable challenges for Americans in wheelchairs, and now, when accommodation is the rule, not the exception. As a new member of the differently abled community, I believe it's important not only to celebrate how far we've come, but also to recognize how far we still have to go. The issue of disability rights and accessibility has been one I've worked on closely since my first days in public office. When I served in the Virginia State Senate back in 2015, I worked alongside Connor Cummings, a young Virginian with autism who lived in my district, and his mom, Sharon, to pass Connor's Law, legislation that closed a loophole and extended parental support for severely disabled and special needs children over age 18, giving relief to single parents. I've had the pleasure of welcoming Connor and Sharon to Capitol Hill to testify on the impact of Connor's Law for families like theirs and the need to replicate it in states across the country. The proudest vote I took in the state Senate was in 2018, when we voted finally to expand Medicaid in Virginia. Through this monumental action, we extended affordable healthcare access to hundreds of thousands of the most vulnerable Virginians, including many of those living with disabilities. That's also why I fought so hard once coming to Congress to successfully protect and expand the Affordable Care Act, including preventing insurance companies from discriminating against people with pre-existing conditions and defending the elimination of lifetime caps on coverage, which would be devastating for families of those with disabilities. In fact, the very first constituent meeting I took when I came to Washington in 2019 was with the Little Lobbyists, a group of families with young children with complex medical needs and disabilities. I invited one of those families to be my guest at the State of the Union in 2020 to highlight just how important fighting back against efforts to undermine the ACA was for families like theirs. Over the past year, the fight for disability rights has become a personal one. My battle with progressive supranuclear palsy, or PSP, has robbed me of my ability to use my full voice and move around in the ways that I used to. Rather than striding confidently onto the House floor to vote, I gratefully accept rides across Independence Avenue, and yes, I get the irony, from my office to the Capitol. I rely on a walker to get around, and in all likelihood, before my term ends, I will appear on the House floor for votes in a wheelchair. I can no longer give the same kind of impassioned, impromptu speeches during debates on the floor or in committee hearings. This very impressive AI recreation of my voice does the public speaking for me now. I found myself understanding firsthand just a fraction of the challenges that so many Americans live with each day. It's been a big adjustment for me, for my family, for my team, and for my colleagues who have known me for years and have had to watch me go through these challenges. But mine is not a unique story. Millions of Americans face challenges that make it harder to move, speak, act, or otherwise live their day-to-day lives. But that disability does not define who they are. I certainly have not allowed my new challenges to define me. This is not a situation I would have chosen to find myself in. I never thought that at my age and otherwise good health, something like PSP could, in the space of just over a year, rob me of my ability to speak, run, or dance, and force me to stop doing the job that I love. I also never expected to be in a position to make history by being the first member to use an augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, device on the House floor. I used to be one of those people who hated the sound of my voice. When my ads came on TV, I would cringe and change the channel. But you truly don't know what you've got till it's gone, because hearing the new AI of my old voice for the first time was music to my ears. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard, and I cried tears of joy. I'm not going to sugarcoat the difficulties that I've faced the past year. But what has brought me a renewed sense of determination is the opportunity to use this unique platform to try to help others. The supportive messages I've received have been overwhelming, especially from those facing similar speaking or movement challenges who see someone like me, who just happens to be in the spotlight, persevere in the same ways that they are. I'm not doing it for praise or admiration, but I do hope that when people see me continuing to do all I can to keep living my life and doing this job I love as best I can, they understand and appreciate the courage, resilience, and spirit that so many Americans of differing abilities demonstrate each and every day. I hope I can be a voice, even an AI voice, for Americans facing accessibility challenges and other disabilities, because too often people only see us for that disability, and in truth, we are so much more. Mr. Speaker, I ask my colleagues to join me in recognizing this Disability Pride Month and in celebrating the strength and perseverance of the disability community. I yield back.